Hello there, and a very warm welcome to you. If you've tuned into this explainer today, well, chances are you're dealing with a deeply frustrating feeling right in the back of your throat, a feeling that just won't go away no matter what you do. I know how exhausting it can be. You've probably sat in a doctor's office, maybe more than once, and been told that this persistent, annoying throat clearing is just a normal part of getting older. They might have told you to just learn to live with it. Well, today, we're going to take our time and really dig into the source material from Dr. Emily Waterly. We are going to uncover the 4 hidden, very real reasons your throat feels full of mucus after the age of 55. We're going to take this slow, we're going to make it easy to understand, and we're going to explore this together. You don't have to just live with it.
Let me ask you a question, and I want you to be honest. Do you find yourself clearing your throat 10, 20, maybe even 50 times before you've even had lunch? It is such an agonizing, exhausting daily routine, isn't it? You wake up, you swallow hard, you cough, you go to the kitchen to take a sip of warm water, just hoping and praying for a little bit of relief. And maybe that water works for about 30 seconds. But then, there it is again. That thick, heavy, sticky feeling comes right back, settling right at the base of your throat. Maybe you've noticed it flares up exactly when your head hits the pillow at night, or right when you first open your eyes in the morning. I want to pause right here and assure you of something incredibly important. You are absolutely not alone in feeling this way. And more importantly, I need you to know that this is definitely not just aging. There is a real, physical, biological reason happening inside your body right now, and today we are going to figure out exactly what that is. So here is our gentle roadmap for our time together today. First, we'll clear up something called the mucus myth. Then, we're going to explore our 4 hidden culprits: silent reflux, the quiet sinus trickle, medication side effects, and dehydration. And finally, we'll wrap up with a wonderful, practical 7-step relief plan. Now, before we can actually fix the problem, we need to take a moment to understand how our beautiful, complex bodies actually work. You see, most people have the completely wrong idea about mucus. We tend to think of it as the bad guy, but actually it isn't your enemy at all. It is your respiratory system's very first and most important line of defense. It acts like flypaper, trapping dust, pollen, and bacteria before any of that bad stuff can reach your delicate lungs. The medical term for how your body handles this whole process is mucociliary clearance. I know, it's a bit of a mouthful, but I want you to just picture a moving conveyor belt at your local grocery store. Lining your airways are millions of microscopic, tiny little hairs called cilia, and these cilia act exactly like that moving conveyor belt. All day and all night, they are constantly, reliably sweeping the mucus up and out of your airways, keeping everything clean and clear. But here is the absolutely crucial piece of the puzzle. As we age, our body goes through changes, and our natural internal conveyor belt simply slows down. Your body isn't failing you, it's just changing pace. Those tiny hairs, those cilia, they just begin to beat a little bit slower and a little bit weaker than they used to. So what does this mean for you in practical, everyday terms? Well, it means that a tiny bit of mucus that would have been cleared away in a matter of minutes when you were 40 years old can now literally linger in your throat for hours when you are 65. Instead of moving smoothly up and out, it slows down and it pulls right there at the back of your throat. This is precisely why any extra mucus production, even a tiny amount, hits older adults so much harder and lingers so much longer. It's not that you're producing gallons of the stuff, it's that the cleanup crew has just slowed down their pace. So with that understanding in our back pocket, let's look at our first specific hidden cause, silent reflux. This single, sneaky condition is actually the most consistently missed reason for chronic throat mucus in adults over the age of 55. And the reason it's missed by so many doctors is simply because it is so incredibly quiet. Now, we all know what normal acid reflux feels like, right? You eat a heavy, spicy meal, maybe a bit too late at night, and you get that loud, obvious, uncomfortable burning sensation right in the middle of your chest. Heartburn. It's impossible to ignore. But silent reflux, or LPR as doctors call it, is entirely different. As we get older, a small muscular valve at the very bottom of our esophagus naturally gets a little bit weaker. So while you were lying flat in your bed, sleeping peacefully, tiny droplets of stomach acid quietly creep up. And here's the trick. This acid completely bypasses the chest area, so you feel no burning there. Instead, it travels all the way up into your highly sensitive throat and your voice box. Even microscopic, invisible droplets of acid irritate those delicate vocal cords. And your incredibly smart protective body reacts instantly. It says, uh-oh, acid, protect the tissues, and it produces a thick, heavy blanket of mucus to coat and protect your throat. This is exactly why you wake up with a throat full of thick mucus but absolutely zero chest burn. To really put this into perspective, the research tells us something astonishing. up to 50%. That is literally half of all people suffering from silent reflux experience absolutely no heartburn whatsoever. None. No chest burning, no obvious indigestion, no upset stomach, just that mild, scratchy hoarseness, that constant nagging need to clear the throat, and those frustrating symptoms that are so predictably worse right when you wake up in the morning. Think about that for a second. When half of the people experiencing this condition have absolutely none of the classic warning signs that we're all taught to look out for, it really drives home why this invisible cause is incredibly easy for both patients and perfectly good healthcare providers to completely overlook. And just before we move on to the next cause, there's a little connection here I want to mention. If you use anti-inflammatory pain medications regularly, maybe for aching joints or arthritis, those very helpful pills can actually lower the stomach's natural protective shields. These shields are called prostaglandins. When those shields are lowered, reflux becomes much more likely to occur and irritate that throat. Now, please hear me on this. Do not stop taking your prescribed medications. But this is a truly wonderful opportunity to have a thoughtful, unhurried conversation with your doctor. Just ask them if your joint medication might be secretly contributing to your morning throat clearing. It's a simple question that could lead to a big breakthrough.
All right, let's transition over to hidden cause number 2, the quiet sinus trickle.
When most of us picture a sinus problem, we usually imagine the absolute worst, don't we? A painful, throbbing headache right behind the eyes, or intense, heavy facial pressure that makes it hard to even bend over. But as we age, chronic sinus inflammation actually changes the way it presents itself. It becomes much, much quieter. Instead of a loud, painful infection, it becomes a silent, incredibly slow, steady trickle of mucus draining right down the back of your throat. In fact, a recent study found that nearly 74% of older adults who have postnasal drip felt it primarily as throat discomfort rather than having a stuffy or runny nose. It's almost unbelievable. You go to bed feeling completely fine, your nose is totally clear, but while you sleep, gravity gently does its work, pulling that mild, unseen sinus drainage slowly down. By the time morning rolls around, a thick pool of mucus has quietly accumulated, giving you that heavy, gagging throat feeling the moment you wake up. So what do most of us do when we feel this postnasal drip? Naturally, we head to the medicine cabinet and we grab those standard over-the-counter allergy pills, antihistamines. But here is the catch. Antihistamines work by drying things out. They literally suck the moisture out of your system. And yes, they might stop the trickle temporarily, but they do absolutely nothing to fix the underlying low-grade inflammation. So what happens? You are left with a dried-out, thickened, super sticky residue coating your throat that is now even harder for your body's slowed-down conveyor belt to clear away. You end up feeling worse. Instead of reaching for a drying pill, the source material strongly suggests making a daily nasal rinse with warm saline part of your routine. Think of it like a gentle shower for your sinuses. A warm saline rinse physically and gently washes away the actual inflammation, the dust, and the irritants. It's completely safe, it's highly effective, and it doesn't leave you with that awful, sticky, glue-like residue in your throat.
Moving right along, let's uncover cause number 3, medication side effects.
Now, we are just looking at your medicine cabinet to understand what's happening, not to cause any panic. The most thoroughly documented example of medication causing throat mucus involves a very widely prescribed class of blood pressure medications called ACE inhibitors. Now, let me be clear, these are excellent, truly life-saving drugs that have helped millions, but they have a very specific known side effect. They actually allow a natural substance in your body called bradykinin to build up over time. And when bradykinin builds up, it triggers a constant nagging tickle and the overwhelming urge to clear your throat. Here is the striking statistic. Adults over the age of 65 have a 53% higher chance of developing this frustrating, constant throat-clearing urge from these medications compared to younger patients. So if you are over 65 and you are dealing with this daily throat clearing, your daily blood pressure pill is a very valid, scientifically proven suspect that needs to be looked at.
But here is the crucial point that trips so many people up, even doctors. It's all about the tricky timing. You see, naturally, you might assume that if a pill is going to cause a side effect, it's going to happen the very first week you start taking it, right? That makes sense. But with this specific bradykinin buildup, the throat irritation can actually appear weeks or even several months after you take that first pill. You might have started your new blood pressure medication all the way back in January, felt totally fine, and then the throat clearing didn't start until April. Because of that delay, so many folks fail to connect the dots. If you suspect this might be your situation, simply ask your doctor about alternatives. There are other options, like ARBs, which do a wonderful job managing blood pressure without this highly specific, tickly side effect.
And that brings us to our 4th and final hidden cause, dehydration and dry air.
I want you to visualize something with me.
Think about a glass jar of honey sitting in your kitchen pantry. If you take a spoonful of that honey and gently warm it up in a pan on the stove, what happens to it? It completely transforms. It becomes thin, it becomes liquid, and it flows beautifully and easily right off the spoon. Well, that is exactly what well-hydrated mucus is like inside your body. It flows easily, and your internal conveyor belt clears it away without you ever even noticing it's there. But if you take that exact same jar of honey and you put it in the cold refrigerator overnight, what happens? It becomes incredibly thick, dense, sticky, and frustratingly slow to move. That, my friends, is dehydrated mucus. It is the exact same substance, but the lack of hydration changes its physical texture entirely. It becomes sticky, it acts like glue, and it pulls right at the back of your throat where it gets stuck. Simple water literally, physically changes the texture of the mucus in your throat. And this is a double-edged sword for older adults. You see, as we age, our natural thirst mechanism actually begins to fade. We often just don't feel as thirsty as we used to, which leads us to walk around in a state of mild chronic dehydration. Now, combine that lack of water with the invisible triggers in our cozy homes. Things like dry winter heating, cozy wood smoke from the fireplace, strong-smelling cleaning fumes, traffic pollution seeping in, pretty scented candles, or blowing air conditioning. Your home environment is constantly pulling precious moisture right out of your airways with every breath you take. It keeps your throat's mucus response stuck firmly in the on position, desperately trying to lubricate a dry environment. I want to share a quick story with you to show you how all of this comes together. Let's look at Margaret's journey, from feeling dismissed to finding true relief. Margaret was a 68-year-old retired third-grade teacher, and for 2 incredibly long, difficult years, this constant, nagging throat clearing had completely taken over her life. It interrupted her conversations, it embarrassed her at church, and her own precious granddaughters even started imitating the sound she made. It was heartbreaking for her. 3 different healthcare providers had totally dismissed her. They blamed it on seasonal allergies or told her it was just a normal part of aging. But Margaret didn't give up. By simply checking her blood pressure medications, slightly adjusting her sleep posture, and intentionally increasing her water intake throughout the day, Margaret saw her symptoms drop by nearly 80% in just 6 weeks. 6 weeks. When she finally realized she had her beautiful, quiet life back, she said something profound. She said, "I spent 2 years thinking my body had given up on me. It hadn't. Nobody had just bothered to listen." Margaret's story is a beautiful reminder for us all that profound, lasting relief is absolutely possible when we stop treating the symptoms and find the real root causes. So, how do we get you feeling like Margaret? Let's dive into your very own 7-step action plan. I want you to sit back and just take these comforting, actionable steps in. Here are 7 very practical, very gentle steps you can start taking as soon as tonight. Number 1, stop eating at least 3 hours before you go to bed. This is so simple but so powerful. It ensures your stomach is empty, meaning gravity can protect your sensitive throat from that silent reflux we talked about. Number 2, raise the head of your entire bed by just a few inches using sturdy bed wedges. Don't just prop yourself up on extra pillows, as that actually bends your stomach and makes reflux worse. Elevate the whole top of the bed. Number 3, drink a nice, comforting glass of warm water first thing in the morning. Remember the honey analogy? This instantly warms and thins out that sticky overnight mucus. Number 4, start a daily warm saline nasal rinse. It's a gentle way to wash away that quiet sinus inflammation without using drying allergy pills. Number 5, book a medication review with your doctor specifically to discuss your blood pressure pills or daily pain medications. Number 6, hydrate intentionally all day long. Don't wait until you feel thirsty, because remember, that thirst signal is fading. Sip water steadily. And finally, number 7, reduce those invisible home irritants. Try running a humidifier in your bedroom and maybe skip burning those strong-scented candles for a while to give your airways a rest. Now, as we near the end of our explainer today, let's quickly do a little myth-busting and clear up some old wives' tales you've probably heard. First up, honey. Now, a spoonful of honey genuinely feels wonderful, and it soothes a scratchy throat beautifully. But it only coats the symptom. It does not cure the root cause of why the mucus is there in the first place. Second, dairy products, like milk and cheese. Science actually shows us that dairy does not magically create new mucus out of nowhere. That's a huge myth. However, the natural proteins in dairy can coat the throat and make the mucus you already have feel temporarily thicker and clumpier. And third, sugar. Adding lots of sugar to your hot tea can actually pull precious moisture directly out of your already dry throat tissues through a process called osmosis. A much better, more healing choice for your aging throat tissues is simply a soothing glass of plain warm water with a fresh squeeze of lemon. Now, I always want to be thorough, so let's carefully cover a few red flags.
Please know that the vast majority of throat mucus issues are completely benign and very fixable with the steps we've discussed. However, your safety and peace of mind always come first. You should always keep an eye out for these warning signs. If you notice your mucus is consistently tinged with blood, if you experience sudden and unexplained weight loss, if you have difficulty swallowing food and it seems to be getting worse, if you feel a hard, persistent lump or swelling in your neck, or if you have major, lasting changes to the sound of your voice. If any of these apply to you, please do not try to self-manage this at home. These specific signs mean it is simply time to let a medical professional take a closer look promptly, just to be safe.
Well, my friends, we have covered a lot of really important, empowering ground today. We've learned how your body works, we've uncovered the hidden causes, and we've built a plan. So I want to leave you with one final empowering question to think about. Will you stay a passive passenger, just accepting this discomfort, or will you use this new knowledge to become the active driver of your health starting today? Remember, your age is absolutely never an excuse for someone to ignore your discomfort. You deserve to feel good. Try raising the head of your bed tonight. Have that soothing glass of warm water tomorrow morning. Stay curious, stay informed, and please take wonderful care of yourselves out there.